Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reboot Roundtable, the podcast/YouTube series where we talk about reboots, rewrites, and sequels. I am joined, as always, by the man who looks like a grunt from Halo, Jay. And CJ.
I was going to
sound more of a jackal.
He's a jackal? Wait, aren't the grunts the little tiny guys?
No, Jay is definitely a grunt. I'm saying I'm more of a jackal.
Oh yeah, no, you got that jackal energy. The guys with the shields.
I'm bony.
Yeah, well, if you guys cannot tell, we are doing a Halo episode today. Let's start off with a basic question. What is your all's experience with Halo?
DJ, I will allow you to take the reins here.
I'm the absolute lore master. Halo was the first game I ever played. I grew up on Halo. I'm actively working to purchase a Halo gold necklace, like, at the moment. There might be a slight obsession.
Okay, I respect it. Jay, where do you stand? Because we've done a Halo episode before, but we'll remind people where you're at on it.
Yeah, so there is a YouTube video somewhere in the depths of the internet of me crying when my mom told me that Halo 4 got pushed back. Halo was one of my first games that I've ever played as well. I'm not as much of a lore master as CJ is, but I've definitely delved into the depths of Halo lore. And I love the games. It was the first game I ever took competitively.
And with me, of course, I'm not a big Halo fan. I've played part of the games, but I have absorbed a lot from cultural osmosis. So, Jay, why are we talking about Halo today?
Right, so, y'all remember the Halo show?
Wish I didn't.
Yeah, it was horrible. And
I
so
know
we're
what the latest like.
So we're gonna be talking about what the Halo show should have looked like. Getting rid of everything that was there. We're not even addressing the original show. We're gonna write a new show from what we know.
We should talk about why the Halo show was bad, probably real fast. It wasn't originally a Halo show.
Yeah.
Not at all.
That's
They
why
used Halo
Master
to
Chief
fix it.
was yeah.
Hyping his hose. Sorry.
Anyways, Halo show. What is the Halo show? What should it have been?
CJ,
Good.
take the reins. Yeah, it should have been good.
Well,
Take the reins here, CJ.
Okay, so firstly, I just want to point out that in the creation of the Halo show that we got, it was openly admitted that the creators had not seen or played the games. And in fact, they made the decision to stand on that hill of them saying, if you don't like our show, you're not a Halo fan. Casually pissed off every single Halo fan to ever
Yeah.
exist. And they turned my absolute elite unit, John Halo, into Master Cheeks, aka Jimmy Rings.
Here we go again.
all right. So
And it was rough.
I guess the first question should be: should Mr. Master Chief be the main character of the Halo show?
I feel like if you're wanting to get people into Halo, especially if you're wanting to attract a broader audience,
Yes.
it would make sense to use the icon, but I do also think it would be interesting to see Halo content that wasn't focused solely on Master Chief.
Yes, Jay.
I think a story could be way more interesting in the Halo universe where you're not limited by your Master Chief. As it stands, it's like having, what is his name? The Mission Impossible movies. Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
It's like having Tom Cruise or Dwayne The Rock Johnson in a movie. They can't lose. It's kind of the same thing. You're limited. I think, personally, I would want a Halo TV show written from the perspective of just your average random Marines who are on this battlefield sort of in a almost like a Saving Private Ryan style of this is war in the Halo universe where you have to deal with these threats.
Would it not be better to choose a random Spartan? That way you get that for the marketing process.
You can have Spartans in there. The thing with Spartans, though, is that none of them are random Spartans. They're all that guy.
Well, but there are unnamed Spartans you're able to kill, is what I'm saying. You could still put them in intense situations, right? I mean, they wiped out those one nerds on Reach.
Yeah, but
You
those
did
one
not just call them
nerds-
nerds.
Yeah, those
Nerds
one
is
nerds
wild.
fought for months on end against an entire, basically,
Could you
military
not
force.
do something like that? That way you at least get the Spartan
Master
imagery.
Chiefs would not have gotten Cortana if it was not for those nerds. I'm just gonna come out and say it.
Okay, but like they're not Spartan Locke.
Rest in peace, Rogue One. Wait, no, it was what was his name?
I'm rapidly
What was his
approaching
name?
your location.
Yeah, like
CJ, what was his name?
I mean,
what was his name?
Wouldn't you all prefer a show
How you
about
playing Reach? I can't remember for the life of me. Help.
Oh, Noble Six. Noble Six.
Noble Six. Right. Rest
Yeah.
in peace, Noble Six.
The only other Spartan to be
I
listed
mean-
as hyper lethal.
By the
he's
Covenant.
not the best Halo character. Spartan Locke, who everyone loves, right?
That's an ability.
You know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But so you think Halo should focus more on its grunts that aren't the aliens named grunts?
Yes. And the reason is I think you can tell a way more compelling story from the point of view of a character who is not immortal, basically. Who is not able to beat an entire military force on its own, from someone who has to strategize and, survive.
What if you said it early on in the Halo Wars with like just a random? Because I do think you're going to want the imagery, at least, of a Spartan. I couldn't imagine it doing very well if you just be like random man.
Well, you still have the
See, I
Halo
look
branding.
at it this way. I feel like they tried the focus solely on boots on ground type ideal with Halo Legends, and while it wasn't bad, it also wasn't the best. The way that I think would be most interesting is that you could tell almost two like separate but intertwining stories.
Yeah.
Starting off with like say a civilian who gets drafted or volunteers into the UNSC, ends up being either a Marine, an ODST, whatever the case may be, and who may wind up in some situation that ends up with them joining a squad with Master Chief. But then you'd also have cameos with fan favorites such as Master Chief, the Arbiter, depending on the time period, Johnson. God, I love Johnson.
That's what I was gonna say. Is we could also
other
do a
characters.
Spartan 2 type thing where it's like you still have the like boots on the ground esque vibe, but it's still the Spartans, like Sergeant Johnson, who is the best character in Halo.
But he's
Or
not
hear me
Spartan
out.
Locke.
Halo Wars. The
Okay.
Halo Wars story with Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2 with Atriox and their crew, like with the Spirit of Fire, it would be really good to have a Spartan crew that was loved just like Red Team, but that wasn't the Master Chief. Because you can tell it was such an expansive universe that you can tell all these stories from that you don't necessarily need to have Chief. And if you really feel like putting Master Chief back out there, I feel like it would be best if he showed up as, say, a cameo.
Cameo for sure.
Yeah.
You couldn't have him as the main character though, because again, there's just too much like the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson of like you can't really do much with him other than have him win.
But also, depending on how late you set it in the times. I mean, you remember in Halo Infinite, in that beginning cinematic, when he gets absolutely clapped by Atriox. There are ways you can build tension. I'm just saying, for the sake of a show, unless you're doing what is essentially a retelling of the like Halo game franchise, or making a prequel similar to how they did like the Halo Reach animated film, I would say that unless you're doing something that's telling that story, 'cause that is Chief's story, you should avoid having Chief in roles that are much bigger than, say, a cameo for a few episodes, or maybe an arc if
Well, we can already
necessary.
know pretty much for certain that if they made a good Halo show, it would probably only get at max 10 episodes. That's about the standard for live action right now. It'd probably be done by a company like Netflix or HBO or I guess Amazon. So it would definitely have the budget for something crazy. So we assume it's a show. Maybe boots on the ground vibes, maybe one Spartan main character and one non-Spartan. What time period would the show be best suited to set in?
A wonderful question.
Or I should say, what should be?
Depends on what story you wanted to tell.
Yeah,
That's
It
where
depends on
I'm
what
thinking.
enemies you want to see. Because
See,
there's
I'm thinking
a
more
lot
along
of
those
interesting
lines.
arcs. If you're going prequel era, such as like the first encounters, you could have something set on, say, Harmony, similar to like the Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn. You could have it beginning with the siege or the invasion of Harmony, where they're trying to evacuate civilians, and that's kind of when you see like our civilian like boots on ground type character being saved and then potentially having inspiration to join the UNSC. You could have it set after the Great Schism, You could have it set when the prophets and the brutes betray the elites, and now there's an odd tension between Marines and humans having to accept the Sangheili as allies after they've been murderizing their people for years.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There are many great places you could start off a story like this.
I really like the idea of like the first contact, because the Covenant are very iconic. You can do a lot with the Covenant. Personally, super hot take. I like the Forerunners a lot, but they just don't make sense for a TV show of this style for like a first season.
Yeah, especially because in the beginning, like if you get later seasons, sure.
Yeah.
In the beginning, similar to how they did like in all the Halos before, like Halo 4 and 5, you want the Forerunners to be a mystery of sorts. They're a mystery in the background that aren't directly impacting the story.
Yeah,
I
and
love what they did with the Forerunners in the beginning.
Okay, and this is where I don't have Halo knowledge. Could it be? All right.
Okay.
I know that the first Halo game, you wake up, like Master Chief wakes up in like a pod, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Could the story because I'm imagining now this ending scene, right? Whatever the story is, we're on the November? Isn't that the name of the ship?
There's the Forward Unto Dawn, which is the one he's in Halo 3 and 4.
No, the first one.
Pillar of Autumn.
The Pillar of Autumn.
Pillar of
I
Autumn.
knew it was something fall related. But like you're a crew member of the Pillar. Like it's about the crew member of the Pillar of Autumn. Maybe we see why he joins the USMC. The whole season goes on. He gets on a deployment. He's on the Pillar of Autumn. Final scene of the show. Go wake up the Master Chief. Because I know just
I
some
could see
random
that.
soldier does it, right?
Okay, so the way that looks, because this is like story-wise, after
Yeah.
the events of Reach, Noble Six and Emil sacrifice themselves so the Pillar of Autumn can escape Reach.
Yeah.
After that escape, Chief, who was also fighting on Reach, is frozen in cryosleep until he's woken up early when the Covenant have found the Pillar of Autumn after a slip space jump, which is like their version of like the hyperdrive.
You could be a random civilian on Reach, right?
The civilians had already been evacuated at this point, so it was all UNSC personnel in the Pillar of Autumn.
Okay,
Yeah.
could it be a person who was on Reach, joins the USNC, fights on Reach, fighting for their home? We see this area that they love falling. They get deployed to the Pillar of Autumn in the evacuation. And so you end the show with the battle on the Pillar of Autumn, and we see this character die.
It all makes sense because the character that
You could do
actually
that, yeah.
releases Chief is one of the. He's not like a soldier, but he's one of the crew that kind of helps to operate the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Where the first guy who actually wakes up Master Chief is blown up right in front of Master Chief, like on a door. So he actually dies like in the first 10 seconds of the battle.
And
of the Pillar of Autumn.
so I've recently been reading the from a certain point of view Star Wars book series, where the whole series is basically like, hey, that random background character, let's hear their story. And I think you could do that with Halo probably quite effectively if that story hasn't been told before.
Mm-hmm.
What I think would be interesting is rather than picking the one specifically that wakes up Master Chief,
Mm-hmm.
pick out one of the characters that in the escape pod that or no, actually, because they die. You can pick one of the ones that gets out on one of the other escape pods.
It begins fighting
Where
on
Chief
the
has-
planet. Or on the
Where
ring.
Chief has to go and rescue them.
Yeah.
And after that rescue, that's when they encounter the Flood for the first time. So it's like releasing the Horde for the first time. Because Chief gets teleported to the library, and then it's just a bunch of Marines having to fight the Flood by
So
themselves.
yeah, you could either end season 1 there or with Master Chief shows up.
I think beyond anything else, I think you end season 1 with mentioning the Pillar of Autumn, saying like this is where we're going. I love the idea of a civilian turned UNSC
Fighter.
combatant
Yeah.
on Reach, who he saw everything dying. He was like, okay, I want to get involved. I want to fight. And he stands and fights with his with his planet on the line, fights, and he eventually is forced to evacuate because they're getting ready to glass the planet. Whatever, right? Forced to evacuate. I want some mention of Noble 16. Just
You
that
you
team.
might be able to fit in a cameo. I don't know how Reach plays though. I don't know if the
Hear me
original-
out. Hear me out.
Yeah,
Okay,
go
you
for
know
it. Sure.
in the Pelican that Keys is on when he retrieves Cortana from Noble Six, right?
Mhm.
There's the one Marine that's yelling, "Get aboard! We got to get the hell out of here."
That could be
They
our
could
guy.
follow the story. They could follow the story of that Marine, add some depth into his character because he also
Right.
boards the Pillar of Autumn.
Right. And that way you still have chances for all these cameos and stuff, but you're still following, a story that fans know, but in a different way. And so it would be a way for old fans to come in, for new people to come in and see, like, whoa, this is actually pretty cool. It gets all of what you want. So that brings me to the question then. Let's say we're doing this. What does this story look like for this guy, this Marine? What is like our start, middle, end?
Well, I think we address the end. The end is either we see him die on the Pillar of Autumn, or we see him die fighting the Flood.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
you can start anywhere, right?
I would say start. Would I want to be Harmony or Reach? Because these are kind of the beginnings of, Covenant absolutely slapping the human. Is when like Covenant is basically winning the war.
Mm-hmm.
You
After
start
that
Reach.
initial first contact, or you can make it where it's like.
So I assume
this
Harmony
guy
is the
is-
first battle of the war, is what I'm picking up.
I don't recall if it was the first, but it was definitely one of the earlier battles of the war.
Because could you imagine this guy? He's at Harmony, he evacuates, goes to move to Reach, gets invaded again.
There actually was a character. It was
The first battle happened on Harvest.
what was the admiral's name? Not the admiral. Well, he gets promoted to admiral, but he was in Halo 4. I can't remember his name though. Hang on, I need this because hang on.
Andrew Del Rio?
No, not Del Rio. Del Rio was a bitch. Lasky, Captain
okay.
Lasky. In Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn, he was being trained on Harmony before the ridiculous invasion where you saw the horrors of these like 8-9 foot tall monsters absolutely slaughtering everybody where they barely make it out alive.
Right.
And he actually encounters the chief and his team. But he survives till Halo 4, but he actually ends up leaving Harmony after trying to figure out what happened to his brother, because the Oni was initially trying to hide the fact that Covenant existed from humanity until they were losing the war.
Mm.
But he is able to flee Harmony. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he manages to survive Reach, and then he's pretty much on Earth until eventually we get into Halo 4 and he becomes the captain and then later promoted to admiral of the the Infinity, the UNSC Infinity.
Right.
So yeah,
But I mean, there were characters like that who survived the entire war.
I
don't think we use a pre-made character. I think we do use the just random Marine or just the random.
Oh yeah,
Do-
I'm just using that as an example
Yeah.
of like
If
a
you
character
choose
who
a,
managed to
I
survive
think choose a
Harmony.
character that is in a cutscene,
Mhm.
and we expand that character's backstory. Would be my suggestion.
I think we do Reach. Now, why do I think we do Reach? Because it adds a more personal element just from a narrative point of view. If our story's taking place on Reach, yeah, you could use Harmony. But if our character's from Reach and watching their planet fall, like maybe the starting scene could literally be the first attack, right?
Well,
The first bombs fall, the Covenant are bringing down his town. He escapes, runs off to the Marines, to the UNSC, and he's like, I want to fight. And we just follow from there.
Well, I think what we do is your opening scene. We show what life is like on Reach before the invasion.
Yeah.
That's the first
Yeah,
episode.
because humanity this is the big thing about like Halo Reach the game, is that Reach was the most militarized and heavily fortified planet that humanity had. It was intended for weapons testing.
Yeah.
So it's actually where the Spartan program began. So I think it'd be interesting to see, say, like a civilian or like a researcher of some sort, the invasion occurs, because Reach was considered to be the crown jewel of humanity.
Yeah.
So I would love to see like that beautiful, like futuristic kind of life living there on Reach before the attack, where you can kind of see similar in the game, like how the city falls and how
Yeah.
things start to seem bleak and hopeless until we end up, eventually evacing and getting Chief on the Pillar of Autumn, thus starting Halo and Halo CE.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think if you start with maybe you make him like some sort of school teacher. Like it starts out, he's just a guy.
I like that idea a lot. I love the like just a guy to a hero
Yeah.
type tropes. So what big thing does our guy do then? Like why does this guy warrant being the main character? Is he the one that eventually gets Chief off the planet? Well, Chief could probably get himself off the planet. What is
Hear
the
me out, hear
main
me
thing
out.
this guy does? Yeah.
Hear me out. We're
Hear me out.
talking about Reach, right?
Yes.
I think it would be interesting instead to focus not so much on Reach being on Harmony, or I mean, he could be on Reach, and 'cause you're talking about like a civilian life.
Mhm.
It'd be interesting if he was working in the Visegrad relay, where in the beginning of Halo Reach, which a lot of the fans will know and love, Visegrad relay gets a ping and then goes dark, thus sending in Noble Team to investigate. Where Noble Team then encounters the Covenant, war starts, they fight, and then we all know the story from there. I think it'd be interesting to see a Marine that was deployed in Visegrad Relay, where they
Mhm.
made first contact with the Covenant on Reach.
Well, if we're assuming he started as a teacher, then he wouldn't have been a Marine yet at this point, or like started as a civilian. You mean? So I think if you want it, like from my understanding of it, what it could be is our story is what does he do? It could just be the kind of story of what does one man do in this war, right? Like, and we watch this man's battle, and we see this world around him. Think like your band of brothers, but like it's Halo.
And you still show off, like, you can still see Spartans run around doing their,
Yeah.
Spartan things. They're still destroying.
And
I
he could be the guy that's on the Pelican that gets the Cortana data. You know what I mean?
right.
And I think from a marketing perspective, like that final scene of like he's deployed on the Pillar of Autumn. We see like it's the final episode. We're like, yes, this guy has escaped. He's free. He's getting Master Chief to wherever they're going. And then the alarm goes off throughout the ship. The enemy are attacking.
Ideas.
Final scene of the show, I think, for at least season 1's final scene, it should be Master Chief getting out of the pod.
Mm.
Yeah, I have an idea where it's like, because where Keys initially announces or whatever to wake him up,
Mm-hmm.
they hit the button, the alarm goes off, the pod opens, out of the smoke, all you see is like the front part of his helmet and his visor rising from the smoke, cuts off, plays Warthog Run.
I like that a lot. That's a song.
Okay, like it just opens up and it's just and it just cuts off.
Yeah.
And then the show's done. Season 2 is following the events of Halo 1.
Yeah.
I could definitely see
But
that.
it's
That would
from
have been
someone
a
else's
great
POV.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it
like
can-
that idea
it
a
can
lot.
Or
work as a-
Johnson's POV.
Well, or even if it's a one season thing, like that's a complete story. You don't need the rest of it because you've got the games if you want to see the rest of that story.
Now, this isn't my favorite idea, but it is an idea nonetheless, because it's starting to kind of grow in its own sort of mini genre of sorts. Like they have one that's like what's it called, Next Level or something like that. I think it'd be interesting, kind of like how they did in the Battlefield games, like in Battlefield 1 and 5,
Uh-huh.
if they told a story that was like multiple different stories, where it's not so much like a season thing or a continuing story, but it's like a bunch of different short stories about different
Yeah.
places, events, and time periods.
I
of
think
Halo.
that's something I'd like Love, Death, and Robots. I know did it really well.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
seen it.
Yeah.
Halo could do really well. I think a lot of franchises need something like that. That's something I actually want us to cover at some point. Is like franchises
with a
that need
massive
those kind of stories.
base
I
would
don't
be
know what the
great.
word is for those kind of books, movies, or shows, but that's like the same thing. From a certain point of view, is Love, Death, and Robots. I think there was a Matrix one, Matrix Revolutions. But yeah, I think at some point, I think a lot of franchises could use that. Halo would be a great franchise for that.
It has such an expansive universe. I think there's
Yeah.
just so much potential, and they did nothing. with it.
Multi-narrative or polyphonic
yeah.
narratives.
Okay, yeah, a multi-narrative story. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so yeah, what we've covered, it should be a very down-to-earth show. Guy starts on Reach, escapes Reach, ends up on the Pillar of Autumn. Show ends with an awesome scene of Master Chief getting out of the pod. And Spartan Locke is the best Spartan. See you later! No, I'm joking.
I still hate the fact that Buck became a Spartan. I still hate that happened.
Bucky
Buck,
James
baby.
Buchanan Barnes?
Buck was an ODST who literally it's in like quotes for his character in both games, which is if he was any better, he'd be a Spartan. And then they made him a Spartan for no reason. I'm like, no, he should have just remained an ODST. That's like what he was good at.
Yeah, so final wrapping up thoughts before we head off.
Sergeant Johnson's the best. The
He does know what the ladies like.
have you seen the one of him just like hugging the elite? Come here, you sweet Sang Healy.
Yes. I love that fact that it's still considered like no one knows how he actually got off of the first ring.
Yeah. Hey, I mean it just happens sometimes, you know?
But yeah,
It do just happen.
thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, tell us what you think of the show. And we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.